if that's all you really did. Right, buddy, or wrong? 24 hours is a little bit long to work through 100 and some names, I would think, right, Tim? Is that pretty reasonable? Okay. How many do you think it'd take you at least 8 hours to schedule those 15 appointments? If that's all you did, all day, all night, one day. How many think it'd take you more, 8 hours or more? Okay, take you 8 hours or more. How many think it'd take you 5 hours or more? How many think it'd take you less than 5 hours? All right, so we got a good mixture of the whole group, less than 5 hours. The average time is about 4.5 hours, by the way, just from all the surveys we did. Doesn't make it right or wrong. All depends on approach. Now let me follow up with you. If you only took one day and it took you 24 hours, right? Would that be worth it to get 15 appointments set if you never had to go back and reschedule 15 from ground zero again? Since, you know, a lot of agents are only working 2 and 3 days a week, this is going to probably push it to a 3.5-day work week. I don't want to get much beyond that. Now, in the health insurance business, they call those the T&T people. Anybody ever come from the health insurance business? We call those T&T people. They work Tuesday through Thursday, complain on Monday, and they work Tuesday through Thursday. That's what they call them, T&T people. Never work a Friday. If you could work 3 days a week now and not have to work a Friday, and have 15 appointments scheduled, would that be a good deal? Yeah. Not a problem, right? No crystal ball. I put that away. Serious stuff. Here's how it works, and here's how exactly we built an entire marketing company and wrote $86 million of premium from ground zero with all neophyte agents in 36 months. I'm going to give you what we did. Just buy the book, and we did it 3 different times. And there's people doing it all over the country right now. Now, this is exactly what I pulled back out of here before. That's what we've done surveys over the last 7 years. That's what the numbers come out to be, about 110 names. 15 direct mail leads equals about 3 appointments. 10 policyholder names equals about 3 appointments. 30 turning 65, 1 out of 10 equals 3 appointments. Past responders should be the same ratio as current responders because they're the same names. If you said, what did you have in mind when you sent this card in? They all become the same ratios. So you get the same number. And in late responders, we gave you 40 to get 3. I can tell you that the ratios on late responders right now with the groups we're working with are running 1 out of 3.5 to 1. For 3.5 contacts, we get an appointment. That takes practice. It takes discipline. I'm going to show you the things it takes. These are numbers that have held true now for several years. Going through the system. That's less than 110 names to get 15 appointments a week. If every one of you got 15 appointments a week, would that be an increase in activity? How much money would that mean in your pocket? Don't even answer. As a manager, as an agent, you'd put substantial dollars in your pocket by increasing your activity even 2 and 3 appointments a week. Is that right or wrong? That's right or wrong, right? Exactly. In this business. It's the difference between owning a Volkswagen and a Mercedes. 2 and 3 and 4 appointments away. It's the difference between that. I still run a Volkswagen if I was selling in my gas, but I'm not saying, just trying to give you an analogy. But I'm really saying to you, this is the big part of the program now. Everything we've led up to so far says, hey, I got to practice. Here's the first condition. I got to commit that I recognize there's nobody stopping me from getting 15 appointments but me. That's the first premise you got to accept. Because there's nobody stopping you. Because there's an unlimited amount of names that you can get, and there is, in the senior market, then there's only a couple things that can stop you. Your desire to want to do that, your commitment to want to do that, and your technique of how to do that, and your attitude, or what I call confident mental attitude. If you're confident that I'm going to work to get this batting average of mine 1 out of 5, that's actual reply cards coming. I'm talking about 1 out of 5. It's not too bad, right? It's not too big a deal. Policyholders can almost be 1 out of 1. If you can reach them, you're going to get them. Hi, Don Runge, XYZ Insurance Company. Mr. Jones, as our policyholder, I just wanted to call you for 2 reasons. One, to thank you for being our policyholder. Boy, that's a hard approach. We do appreciate your business. And the second reason I called you is because there's been a lot of changes going on with the government, you know, with Medicare and all that, and we want to make sure we owe it to you that your program fits the new tax law changes. Tuesday, better Wednesday, when I come by with you and George and go over that with you. That's a 1 out of 1, gang, if you get them. If you even talk to them. But let's just say in this case it's 1 out of 3. Whether you talk to them on the phone or in person. Then we turn about turning 65s. If you can't call people up and say, by the way, Mr. Jones, I'm Don Runge. Been working the area here with Concerned Seniors. I've got to ask you a question. Are you familiar with all the laws that are changing with Medicare and all the changes and all that? Well, kind of, but let me ask you a question. Would you be turning close to 65 pretty soon? Oh, yeah, well, great. I'm glad I called you. I had no idea about that. Well, happy birthday, by the way, early. But I really want to come on by and stop by and go over your options for you so when you make your final decision, you know exactly the options you should be looking at, because it does get confusing and it is complex. Tuesday or Thursday better when I come by and do that for you, and I'll go over and interpret the government regulations so you know how to read them. Boom. Now, that's not too hard a one either. Now, you go back in here talking about past responders. Hi, what'd you have in mind when you sent this card in? You use the same phrase, you'll be 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4. At the door, on the telephone, doesn't make any difference. But you got to get it, believe it, practice it, and do it. Then the late responders, you'll just have to go into that and try it. But I can tell you, if you're 1 out of 10, 1 out of 15, you got to change your approach because they're all preheated, pre-selected, and preconditioned. You just got to get your approach down and have some reason to cause curiosity. And you treat them the same way. Hi, it's Jones. I'm calling Concerned Seniors in the area. Did you see the latest article in the paper regarding Medicare? Did you do this or did you do that? You go focus on a key point, close off of that point, and ask for the appointment. Don't go on any further. 30 to 45 seconds. Keep that in the focus in your mind. Now, here's what the program looks like. When you do this, what I want you to do is keep this in mind, because we're going to use this slide in a minute. Not yet. We're going to want it right there, but we're going to use that in a minute. Envision this. Take that paper you just completed, if you would, turn it over on the back side. Put Monday through Thursday on there. Just M, you know, at the top of the page, just put MTWTH. Just put it right through that deal. Just put on the 4 days a week. We're not going to work Friday if nobody has a problem with that. We're getting off Fridays. I already talked to your boss today, so you can have off Fridays. We'll complain on Fridays. That's what we'll do. So we put those 4 days down. Monday, you block out because we're going to prospect. We're pretending we're all starting new in the insurance business, and we're starting as our first day of our career next Monday. So Monday, we're blocking out. We're gone. We're going to prospect. I'll be with my manager, whatever I'm going to do, okay? Takes that day out. Now, put down that we're going to get 5 appointments scheduled for Tuesday. Put them down anytime you want, but allow 2 hours apart. So you can start at 9, you can start at 8. Just allow 2 hours between your appointments and add them up to 5. 9, 11, 1, 3, and 5, or if you want to put 8, I don't care. Just put them 2 hours apart, but put down 5 appointment times. We booked them in there 2 hours apart. All right, JD, let me ask you a question. How long would it take you to make a final expense presentation?
About an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Ken?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Joe?
45 minutes.
45. Chris?
45 to an hour.
45. Less than an hour in most cases. Is that pretty fair? Just a final expense presentation, right? We're not burying anybody at this time. We're just giving a presentation. I'm just talking about 45, about 30 to 45 minutes, hour maximum, right? Okay, so we got an hour. We're allowing 2 hours between appointments just in case you get lost like our bus did, right? So you put that right in there. So you got 2 hours in that thing. In case we're slow in some areas, we got 2 hours. We got a lot of territory in West Texas to cover. So we got 2 hours. You can put 3 if you like, I don't care. But most of you only want to work daytime activity, and you got a real bad deal right now because it's light till 8 o'clock at night, so you're working beyond 5. So you can schedule some appointments while it's still daylight. But let's just take daylight savings time. We got 5 appointments. Put 5 on Wednesday and 5 on Thursday. Book any times you want, allow at least 2 hours between them. That's your schedule. You don't need a day timer for this, pretty simple. Now you're going to book the appointments at those times. Stay with me. Let's say we now get on the telephone and we go front door and we got our work on the first day. We go out and we say, okay, know the sources I'm going to work. I have an approach for every one of those 5 sources. Your approach might be a little different for each one of those 5 sources. If I'm working response cards, I might have a little technique a little bit different than working late responders. You might have 2 or 3 word changes in your script. But you actually got to write your script out because you got to know what Sylvester Stallone and Sharon Stone say. You got to audition for the part and get your lines down. The director says, I want to convey a certain message. You got to convey that message. You got to get the script down. You got to sound like a carburetor that's running like a hum. All right? So now when you do this, the key is you actually go out and do this. You schedule your appointments. Say you get 5 or 6 scheduled right away. You say, you know, I'm tired. I've been on the phone for 2 hours. And I wouldn't stay on the phone past an hour or 2 hours because you get tired. You need to take a break. Say, okay, let's go out and make some face-to-face calls. So what you end up doing is you've taken your leads and you scheduled 15 appointments off your 100 and some names. Let's say I got 125 names and I scheduled 15 appointments. I subtract 15 from 125, right? I get 110 names left, correct? I got 110 names left that I'm either going to throw away, told me to drop dead, I'm not interested, didn't reach, told me to call them back, whatever the reason, right, Jack? I got 110 names in this example left. What are you going to do with those names?
Call them?
Oh, I love it. She's going to call them. Okay, good. We're going to call them. I want to ask you that. But, Gene, what are you going to do with the names? You got 110 names left. You're going to turn them into your manager, or what are you going to do?
I'm going to file them back and recall.
File them back and recall. Okay, good. Now, here's a simple way to organize. I get those 15 appointments. My first appointment, Lee, what time is going to be your first appointment on Tuesday?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. How many of you go out an hour early before your first appointment just so you get your bad hair day straightened out, get your adrenaline flowing, get yourself pumped up a little bit? Because I've seen agents have 2 appointments scheduled for the day. They go home and wait and think about their first appointment that was conditional to begin with. Then they talk about they hope they're going to be there. They drive all the way out to 3 miles talking to themselves. I hope you're going to be healthy. Hope you got money. Are you really serious about this or not? I hope you're going to be good. Then you get there and you get a one-legged appointment. I knew you're going to be bad. It's going to be a bad day. I think I'll cancel the other appointment I got. I'll work on Wednesday. And then you got to get up Wednesday and think you have no appointments. You got 2 left. Now you think it's a hard job. You just made the easiest $100,000 a year job the hardest $20,000 a year job anybody would sign up for. And this is the easiest $100,000 a year job if you control your activity. The easiest by far. Because the only ones that work less than us are doctors and lawyers, as far as insurance people go. Once you work for a couple of years, you're just like a doctor and lawyer. We don't work on Fridays. Wednesdays we play golf. You know, Saturdays we got to take the boat out. We start doing all the same thing doctors do. Right, so we're in the same deal. We're in the same boat. That's what we're all working for, and we should work for that. In the beginning, we might have to actually work 4 or 5 days. So in this premise, you've got your appointment set. You go out. I take the 110 names. What I would do is I'd pick out 8 or 10 of those names around that 9 o'clock appointment that are fairly close to the area, and I'd route those calls. I'd order them up in A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm going to stop by every one of those people. I get out of my car. I go early, I stop by the house, I knock on the door. Now what's the worst thing that can happen? They're not home. Or they're home and they kick me out, right? Worst thing can happen. It's going to happen on the telephone, it's going to happen at the front door. It's law of numbers. So I go out there, I get my hair moving, I start getting out there, getting my tongue working. I get out there, start doing something, because I don't want to waste that 9 o'clock appointment, because that's my appointment, right? So now I'm practicing like all professionals do. I'm taking the bucket of balls and hitting them, whether I hit them right or wrong. I'm taking the tennis ball and taking some practice swings. So I want to do the same thing with my lead program. I want to get myself practicing what I'm going to say and start practicing and getting some of that out of me. So now at the 9 o'clock, I knock on the door. A couple of those you're going to knock on, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be there. You're going to be scared. Oh, you're there. Well, what'd you want? Well, I just came by. I didn't think you were going to be home. You sure you're the right person? Yeah. Well, I got to come back. This is working too good. I don't see that many people before 9. I'll come back after my first appointment, okay? I mean, you almost want to say that to yourself because you're in shock that they're actually there. Because you're convinced nobody's there. And nobody would talk to you in person. Now, the object could be, all I'm going to do, now here's the secret to this whole program. Your goal before you go home that night, you cannot go home until you've replaced the 5 appointments you had scheduled for that day. You cannot go home. Now, whether you sell them all or they all tell you to go fly a kite, your job is to replace those 5 appointments you had scheduled for that day, that day. If I do that, how many appointments do I have the next day? For the rest of the week, rather. If I replace the 5 I had and I started with 15, how many do I have for the rest of the week? I got 15 left even when I had a bad day and sold nobody or sold them all. I still have 15 appointments left for the rest of the week. And I only got to replace 5 a day for the rest of my life. If you get referrals, it'll really be easy, but let's not get technical. See, you replace 5 a day. Now, how am I going to replace the 5 a day? By going before that appointment and after that appointment and work 8 or 9 people right in the same area stopping by. That's how you do it. It's so easy, it's frightening. And you actually stop by, guess what? Agents who have activity are dangerous. Agents who aren't active are really dangerous. You know what? I came from a Catholic school, and Sister Corolla in my 8th grade, I remember telling me, Runji, do you know that an idle mind is a devil's workshop? Yeah. I never thought I had an idle mind. I was dreaming great dreams. You'd always say that. I never knew what that meant. I was dreaming good stuff. She says, you have an idle mind. Oh, not me. I'm thinking about all kinds of things. I'm going to play baseball. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But you'll never forget that saying. An agent who doesn't have activity is a negative person. You can't help yourself because you've got to pick up reasons why you're not having activity. So we get very creative finding, well, the lead's no good. It wasn't in the right area. It was too old. They didn't have any money. I don't want to go to trailer courts. I don't make phone calls. I'm too professional. I don't go door to door. And all of a sudden you got all these excuses for not making a contact. When the people are all preheated, pre-selected, preconditioned, and ready for you. We're just saying, I don't want to get prepared. I did my hair this morning. I don't want to work any harder than that. And the fun part about this business is you can replace appointments one at a time. Now, you replace them before you even get there. So I go to Fred, and I already scheduled an appointment before my 9 o'clock. I picked up another appointment. I now got 16 appointments. Can you imagine the size of your head when you start doing this stuff? You'll be so arrogant, it'll be unbelievable. You'll be so confident, all of a sudden you start closing better. You'll be confident because you got high activity. You're not worried about who's my next call. See, it's now a fun game because you're in control. So you replace that appointment one at a time because it's easier doing it one at a time than coming to a phone session for 6 hours starting from ground zero. I understand that. I work with telemarketers. That's a long haul, gang. Unless you just like to get punished, then don't do that. But you don't have to if you work this. Now you're going to say, well, I go out there and they're not home. I'm knocking on doors cold. There's no cold call in Texas, Arizona, Mississippi. This is cold, 122 degrees outside with the heat factor. There's no cold calls. Winnipeg in November in Canada is cold. That's a cold call. Outside of that, you're not working a market that ever has a cold call. There isn't such thing as a cold call in your market. So when you go out there, here's what you do. You start taking some of the unlisted phone numbers. You drop by the callbacks. You drop by some referral names, unlisted phone numbers, and past responders. Those are great people to drop by with. Because if they don't have a telephone, guess who's calling them? Nobody. They're the ones you've been talking about saying, what do you look like? Are you really an agent? Tell me about it. They haven't seen one in 25 years. They haven't ever seen one. If you come up, you're going to have to ID yourself. You're going to have to come up with all kind of identification. Because they haven't seen you in so long, they wouldn't know what you look like. They got no idea. And they're almost a 90% shoo-in for an appointment. And you go by those people and stop by and say, hi, Don Runge. Mr. Jones, reason I stopped by, we're working with concerned seniors in the area. We didn't have a phone number on you, and we've been trying to get contact with you for several weeks. Do you have a minute? No, I don't either. Work by appointment only. It's Tuesday, better Wednesday when I stop by. Or you do what W. Clement Stone tells you to do. W. Clement Stone, everybody here? W. Clement Stone wrote some great books. He tells you if you want to get in the households 67% of the time. It's validated still today. All you say to people is, you look them in the eye, and when I'm looking at Lee, I look down and say at my feet, I look down at my feet and I start wiping my feet and I say, may I come in? You will get in 67% of the time. If you open your hand up, take your eyes and get their eye contact, look down at your feet and start wiping your feet. Even if the trailer's dirty, you're respecting their dirty trailer, but you're wiping the feet. And you're getting prepared because you're going to slide right in there like Kramer. So you're going to slide right in. But you say, may I come in? And you will get in 67% of the time. Another 20% of the time, if you say, do you have a minute? Another 20% of the time you'll get in. And you don't have to get any fancier than that. So you're out there talking to people, what I call walk and talk, and you're stopping by. Now, you're dangerous when you're in that neighborhood because guess what? You tell me you can't reach those seniors. You know why? They're out cutting their grass. They're out walking their dog. They're out talking to people. It's nice outside early in the morning. It's too hot in the afternoon. So you're going to bump into seniors by accident, face to face. Do you know Mr. Morgan? I'm Mr. Morgan. Oh, my God, you're Mr. Morgan. You are. Gee, Mr. Morgan, you're on my call list till later. I'll come back. So you're going to get all shook up because you're going to be out there playing in traffic. See, that's the problem, and you're going to get good because you're now doing positive things. So now you try to go in there on those appointments and replace those appointments. Now you're going to say, well, you know, I call them all the time. All right, if you got to use the telephone, here's what you do. You get your 15 appointments or 10 appointments scheduled. You go to a phone booth. Take 35 cents. Get your 8 people that you want to call, Pam, right before your first appointment, and you dial everyone that's got a telephone number. Now, you'll get a couple that'll answer, right? Probably. When they answer, just ask for somebody that does not live there. Can you do that? Is Mr. Shavinsky in? Who? Sorry, I got the wrong number. They're there. I know you're in there. They're there. Now, if you're really creative like that, I'll guarantee it works like clockwork. Then you pull up 5 minutes later. Hi, Don Runge, I know you're in there, buddy. Oh, yeah, okay, come on. You're there, and you're now talking to live people. You're not going to houses where people aren't home. You maximize your efficiencies and economies of what you're doing. You're getting control of the game. You're understanding they changed the rules and you're working with them. All of a sudden, you're empowered now to take charge of your activity. And once you figure out how to take charge of your activity, it's all over, gang, with the product portfolio that you have in the lead system you've got. So don't get yourself in the trap. This system has worked in 3 marketing organizations, wrote a ton of business with neophyte agents, and there's nothing, I'm giving you the entire package right there. That's the package. If you'll put that together, now I may have some questions about it, put that together, pick out your lead sources. You can work 1 lead source, I don't care how many. But get the idea in your head, 15 is a key number because you're only going to keep 10. You got to schedule 15 because you're going to average 10 kept appointments. You're going to have 25% stand-ups, one-legged appointments, and you know what's going to happen 6 weeks from the day you start this program? 6 weeks from the day you start this program. You know what's going to, write this down. You will average 20 to 25 appointments 6 weeks later. And I apologize for your problem. You can write me a letter and complain. You will average 20 to 25 appointments because of the callbacks that you're going to have to build back into, because you never count a callback as a new appointment again. So you'll have the callbacks fill right into that, and your replacements and your referred leads will go up by 20%. You know why? Because now you're asking for referred leads automatically because you're arrogant. You're no longer thinking about them, because here's how you ask for them when you got 3 appointments a week. Well, Mr. Jones, you know anybody might want to talk about insurance, and I'd like to talk to him sometime. If you know anybody. No, okay, good, that's all right, no problem at all. Because you're saying, I'll get him on policy delivery. See, so you're not comfortable or confident to ask for the referral. Now, the program you have here today, with the walk and talk sequence, take people who live close to the person that responded and put them on any kind of card you want. When you get in the house finally in the appointment, you say to Kenny, Ken, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Glad I've been of service to you. Do me a favor. I got a call on these neighbors of yours, which you probably know. I've got to get to them, and I'm running behind. And you hand them the names of 5 people that live in their block that they know already. All you're doing is qualifying the information that you don't have on them. Oh, Ken Brown. You know Ken? Oh, yeah, Ken and Mary and I, we play bingo. Is that nice? Oh, yeah, he just retired. Is that right? Tremendous. Got any dogs? Just in case? Oh, no dogs. Got one big old cat named Harry. Harry the cat, like Harry. Good. Boom. I go down the street 5 minutes later. I'm walking in. I got a referred lead. Karen told me to say hi to you and Benny. We're just down there. Said, you got that big old cat that scares you. Oh, yeah, that's Harry. Oh, no problem. Put Harry aside and won't come in. You now have a referred lead program by handing people, because people can't think of referrals. You've already said you're going to call on these people. They've already been preheated, preconditioned, pre-selected, and you're giving them to them and just say, tell me a little bit about more, because I'm not sure I want to go there. So I got to call these people anyway, because they're concerned seniors like you are. Oh, yeah, the Wilsons are great. We play bingo together. Well, they ever win? Sure do. They won $50 last week. Is that right? I'll talk to them about that. You have now just gotten referred leads without ever asking for a referred lead. That's correct. Without ever asking for a referred lead. You will run those 15+ appointments like you've never run in your lifetime. But it takes commitment that you set the first 15 up, no matter how many hours it takes to get the first 15. And you don't go home from that point forward to replace those 5 a day, even if you sold all 5, JD. Those are the 2 secret deals to this. You do that, you'll be working 3 days a week until I get you into the 25 appointment range, which is only going to push you 5 years early to retirement. Sorry about that. But I can unequivocally tell you the people that are doing this are going crazy with production and activity. They've turned a $20,000 a year workhorse job into an easy $100,000 a year doctor's job without surgery. You've got that to your advantage. Questions? Questions? I didn't have a chart up here for you. I'm sorry, but we're going to do that when we get to your workbooks. We would go through that for you. Yes, sir.
At the end of the week, you've already got 15 preset for the next week.
Yep, you're rolling your appointments between those open slots, like on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you either make a choice of scheduling someone on Friday or for the next Monday, because you don't even have to prospect on Monday anymore. Go back and do it, because you got appointments set on Friday for Monday. And you just roll that thing in front, and you just keep rolling it that way. Okay. Yep, and you just keep rolling the days. You can either put them between those 2-hour slots for the same week, or as you get to the end of that week, like you get on Thursday and you're working, you can start booking them for Monday then. You know, Monday, and then again Monday for Tuesday, and you start moving them ahead. And it tells you what, and I'll show you some techniques in our next section that you got evidence in this audience of people right here that will show you some touchy techniques that will help you get appointments even stronger than you ever thought before. We've got some evidence in the audience that we'll share with you. All right, any other questions about that? I went over it quickly without a board, so trust me with this. This is not something that you got to really think about real hard. You just got to decide that 15 is important to you. You got to decide that you don't want to kill yourself prospecting. And you got to decide that referred lead marketing is easy if I hand you the card. Never have to ask me for a referred lead. Never ask. I hand you the name and say I'm going to see him. Would you tell me about him? Just like to get to know him a little before I get there. They won't have a problem doing that. But if I said, you know, I want to sell him some insurance, would you tell me something about him? Well, they got all they need, I think. That's a different conversation. Much different conversation, ladies and gentlemen, for you and for the prospect. All right, any other questions? What I'd like you to do then is I'd like you to take out your workbooks, go to that section. I want you to walk through and build your plan just according to what we talked about, and we'll come around and take a look at it. Now stop the tape. Check your notes carefully because the appointment process as presented has helped people to achieve 15 appointments per week without having to preset 15 new appointments each week. Another key point to review are the various prospecting sources you work, and how effective are your approaches to converting a reasonable number of prospects into appointments. You should write out your appointment approach for both a telephone and face-to-face appointment contact. Try to use at least 6 to 8 key buzzwords and a good power phrase or two. Now start the tape and listen to step 6, anticipate.